Conditions became ever worse until the road was all but impassable. This is the village square of Statsema, about 3/4 of the way up the mountain. The stream here normally runs quietly under the bridge, its water crystal clear. Five miles downstream and 1,000 feet below, in the town of Saravetsa, the water was also beginning to rise. Very soon, the river was 12 feet above its normal level. Within a couple of hours, it was carrying millions of gallons of excess water at terrifying speed. People watched, mesmerized by the fury of the deluge. Up the mountains at Statsema, the river could no longer hold the flow, and the flood burst free. The cameraman who shot this video could only watch helplessly. His own car was one of those washed away by the flood. At the bottom of the mountain in Saravetsa, the river had become an uncontrollable torrent. Hidden beneath these racing waters were some of the victims. One body was found nearly 20 miles from where it must have entered the water. The entire flood was caused by one storm that in 14 hours dumped 2 inches of rain on an area of 100 square miles. Every drop of that storm's water was channeled into one riverbed just 40 feet across. The outcome was inevitable. At the height of the rescue effort, 15 helicopters were operating from a soccer field on the plains below. It was the only way to reach the mountain villages, because most of the road had been swept away. The stories the casualties told were terrifying. At the top of the valley, the floodwaters had been up to 30 feet high. They had ripped away entire buildings. The people were horrified. Everyone knew someone who was missing. The Italian military coordinated the rescue operation, working from a school next door to the soccer field. But despite the incredibly rapid emergency response, 14 people died in the flood. The army was able to get relief supplies to some of the lower villages on foot. Ironically, after the flood, it was drinking water that the villagers needed the most. Up the valley in the village of Rusina, the mark left by high water was visible below the bedroom windows. Here, before they could even begin to estimate the flood damage, hundreds of tons of silt had to be removed. It had all been washed off the mountain slopes by the torrential rain. The roads higher up the mountain were completely destroyed, so 12 helicopters were still needed to take emergency supplies and services to the isolated villages. As they flew up the valley over the lower villages, the scale of what had happened became stunningly clear. This is Cardoso, the highest and most devastated of the dozen villages in the flood's path. 200 people had to be evacuated from here. The village street had totally disappeared under rocks and rubble.